A wise gentleman joining us on the show.
Look at that suit, dude. Look at the dapper.
That is a very sharp suit.
No,
Yeah.
it's a dapper.
You got good angles on your body there, Klavan.
Mary will be stepping out for a moment. Thanks for hanging out, Mary. She'll be back. And we have Andrew Klavan.
Tim, you stole my hat.
I stole your hat. It's my hat.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Welcome to the show.
How are you?
Dressed to impress.
You want to introduce yourself for those that don't know you?
Sorry, I am the host of the Andrew Klavan Show on the Daily Wire. I'm, Ben Shapiro's competitor, and I was there from the beginning. And I'm a novelist and a screenwriter as well.
Thanks for hanging out. What have you seen so far? What do you think's going on?
So far, it's all vibes. We've seen Trump win the states we know he's going to win. We've seen Kamala win Vermont, which would have been a shock if Trump had won it. But the vibes are good. Vibes are not meaningless. I think no one knows anything, and anybody who's talking about it as if they know something is not telling the truth. But
we called it for Trump already.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He won Indiana. There's no way he could lose this thing. Yeah.
But the big thing is actually people sitting here and the Daily Wire have changed the game. There's just no question about it. The left's domination of the cultural apparatus of what's called the social imaginary, the things we think are true and the things we think are ethical, has been so complete until about 4 or 5 years ago.
I think that's right.
The Daily Wire took off, as shows like this took off, we've been able to debunk their lies at a speed that we've never achieved before.
Are you a bourbon drinker?
I am, but I'm going to be here till 2 a.m.
Okay.
If I start drinking now, I'll just pitch forward.
Because we have this wonderful bottle of old Rip Van Winkle.
And you're tempting me here.
Well, I just wanted to say, based on what you're saying too, is how many election night shows are going to crack open a bottle of bourbon?
That's right.
Exactly.
Have a good time.
Talk about vibes. Talk about different vibes.
We're either going to want it or we're going to need it.
That's right.
We were just talking. I do agree with the vibes. I keep thinking if everything's on the table and legit, Trump's got this by a landslide.
Right.
But I am in sort of an echo chamber too. So there's that. But those are what I'm feeling. But then we just pull up this Time magazine article about the shadow campaign to fortify the election of 2020.
Yes.
Yeah.
The cabal of CEOs and
I'm a little bit wary of these things. I mean, first of all, the last election was done under such insane circumstances that all kinds of things were possible that aren't possible now. The Republicans have upped their game. They deserve some credit for upping their game and keeping the election tight. And I don't believe, most elections are run by local folks who are actually good people, who actually are out there volunteering their time to do what they're doing. And so I'm not as worried as a lot of conservatives are about that. I think we're going to see the will of the people, and I think that unfortunately, sometimes the will of the people, in democracy, we get what they deserve, which is a terrible thing sometimes. But I think that it really depends on whether or not the information weight has shifted enough so that we can expose them to enough people fast enough. So when Donald Trump comes out and he says there'll be a bloodbath in the car industry if I'm not elected, and George Stephanopoulos on ABC says, Trump is calling for death and murder if he's not elected, we now have the ability to strike back. It takes a beat. It doesn't happen right away, but it takes a beat. And the question is, how far is that spread? How effective is it? It is going to get more and more effective. They're going to try and stop it. They're going to lose. We will win eventually. The question is whether we win tonight.
Yeah, I think that's right. And there's another point to be made here. This didn't originate with me. I wish I could take credit for it. But democracy is in many ways just ruled by mass media when you have one set of people controlling all the programming that people see, where they get their ethos from. What you were just discussing earlier, this idea that everything we were told about what's moral or good or true or beautiful has just come from a handful of corporations who have similar interests, who are very aligned ideologically. You end up in a position where even if the election is free and fair in the sense that you don't have shenanigans going on with ballot harvesting, it almost doesn't matter because people are pushed in a specific direction by the media. This is this idea of manufactured consensus, which, I'm not the biggest fan in the world of Noam Chomsky, but he's not wrong about that. There was a really brilliant moment with him. I think, was it on PBS? This was a very long time ago. But he was having an argument with a female journalist, and they were asking him, are you alleging that I am pretending to have the opinions that I have for this job? And he said, no. I believe you're sincere in your beliefs, but my point is you would not have this job unless you did have those beliefs.
That's the lesson of transgenderism for me, that an academic theory with no scientific basis that goes against the wisdom of the ages could almost instantaneously be turned into holy writ.
Immediately.
Yeah, immediately.
Immediately, dude.
If you just said, no, that doesn't sound right to me, you were canceled, you were thrown off YouTube, you were called all kinds of names. However, we were able to strike back in ways we have not been able to strike back in the past against America's racist narrative, against the idea that you're anti-feminist if you believe in motherhood and homemaking is noble pursuits. All of these ideas that have spread so fast and immiserated people. They've made people miserable, but even as they've made people miserable, they keep clinging to them because they are absolutely surrounded by this idea.
I want to drill down on that point real quickly. The fact of the matter is, you point out it's made people miserable, and I think that's the real problem that even the zeitgeist in the United States, people don't realize why they're unhappy.
That's
people
right.
can't articulate the things that they're unhappy about. Only people, it seems, and not that I'm particularly religious, but people that are religious have been saying, look, it's because you don't have a family, because you're not putting the things that are important first. It's because you're not putting, having children and focusing on your relationships first. These are the reasons why you're unhappy. And I think a lot of Americans, particularly people that are considered progressives, disregard those ideas because out of just as a knee-jerk reaction because of who's saying them.
That's right.
Because they're people that they conceptualize as bad or oppressive or whatever. When really what's going on is the people that believe these things, that have lived lives where their families have been the focus of their life, and those things have brought them joy throughout their whole life. Those people are trying to actually help by saying, no, these things are actually good. And I think that there's too many Americans that just knee-jerk reaction say, no, that's not good, and it's making America miserable. And you see it in suicide rates, you see it in depression rates, you see it in drug use, you see it in substance abuse, you see it all in divorce rates, you see it all over society. And again, I'm not a particularly religious guy that's saying, oh, you should practice this kind of religion, but these things have been just common knowledge that these are the things to aspire to: a family, a home, relationships with the people that you love. Those are the things that make you happy. And it's been common knowledge for 100,000 years. As long as there have been human beings in society, it's been common knowledge. It's been obvious. And now it seems that society is just since maybe the birth control pillar or the past 60, 70 years.
Speaking my language.
I completely understand this. Has really said, oh no, we have all these new ideas and we can just change everything on a dime. And speaking to the what you guys were mentioning about how fast everyone has to take to adopt the idea of transgenderism being a positive or even being something that's possible. I think that kind of just change in society does make people unhappy, and they refuse to acknowledge it out of fear.
We do have a big update with the data coming in from Florida. We've got Miami-Dade County, 77% in. Trump is winning 55-44 with 481,714 votes to Kamala Harris's 389,287. Now, we did see this flip, I believe, in the midterms. It went red. Everybody kind of was surprised to see that was massive. But this is a flip from, I believe, in 2020, Joe Biden won Miami-Dade. At least that's the reporting I'm seeing right now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you may be right. I can't remember now.
Right.
Yeah.
The reporting that I'm seeing right now is that Biden won Miami-Dade last time around, and that Trump is now winning in Miami-Dade with 77% reporting. It's looking like Trump is going to win a major urban metropolitan area, which is massive. What I'm really interested in seeing is actually Philadelphia, because we recently went up there and saw Trump flags in downtown Philly. Trump flags. Now there were Harris Waltz flags too. But there were big Trump flags, and that was significant. A lot of people said people aren't scared in a city like this.
That's what it speaks to. It speaks to that change in the fact that people are not intimidated. They will come out. And Trump has normalized himself. I mean, look, whether he wins or loses tonight, this is the greatest comeback in American political history.
And that's right.
And coming back against 2 impeachments, 90 indictments, a conviction, assassination attempts. It's been an amazing...
An entire industry of media bent on destroying him for almost a decade.
And the thing you have to remember is underneath the issues themselves, the left has controlled the terms of the debate.
Yes,
So, for
absolutely,
instance,
absolutely.
going back to what you were talking about before, if I come out, as I have often said, and said, I'm anti-feminist, that immediately defines me as someone who doesn't believe women should have human rights, which is nonsense. I utterly believe that. I'm an American. I believe everybody
I'm
has
extremely
individual human rights.
anti-feminist. I'm with you,
but
so.
I think what makes women happy is different than what makes men happy, and we should advocate for that, and we should advocate for the nobility of it, and we should never allow someone to say something like, I am just a homemaker,
Yes.
or I'm just a mother, because then
100%.
you get these headlines. One of my favorite headlines of recent years was, in spite of feminism, women are unhappy. Are unhappier,
Yeah.
and I thought, no, almost right, but not quite, And they set the terms of the debate. It makes it very hard for us to speak without being demonized.
I agree completely, and I think it confuses young people because they hear all the narratives that say you should want this, you should want that, you should put off having a family, you should put off all of these things that actually do bring you joy, and then they wonder why they're not happy, and it causes that's part of why they get depressed. Not only is it that they're depressed because they're the things that are fulfilling they don't have in their lives or whatever, but also because they can't figure out why, and they don't believe.
Yes.
Oh, maybe it's the things that maybe the people that I've been listening to have been leading me astray and telling me that I should want things that don't make me happy, that will never make my life feel fulfilled.
Yeah, I think at a really, really fundamental level,
How you feeling, Seamus?
the issue is that, let me tell you, I'm too neurotic to look at election maps with 3% in reporting because I'm like, oh, he's going to lose there now. No, but I think what this boils down to is something very basic, which is our inability as a culture to agree on what man is. And I'm not just talking about in the sense that Matt Walsh exposed with his documentary, What is a Woman? I mean, like, what is man? And the two dominant beliefs in our culture today are man is a creature created in the image and likeness of God himself, who is of unfathomable worth and whose soul will outlast every star in the sky. And man is an accident of a series of self-replicating coils of DNA giving rise to consciousness in a way that lends itself to adaptation.
Spoiler alert, the answer is A.
Amen.
But I have to get back to my show.
Andrew
Guys, thank
Klavan,
you
ladies
so
and
much.
gentlemen.
It's great having you.
Thanks for joining
Good
us.
to see you.
Great talking to you.
We have a lot of speculation. I think this one's actually interesting from Swan Marcus on X, saying that, I'll give you the gist of it. The theory, conspiratorial, is that Democrats were registering people as nonpartisan. So as we see in early voting, Republicans with an edge over Democrats, we make the assumption that independent voters are breaking 2-1 for the conservatives, as we've seen with most polling data over the past 2 years. But the conspiracy now is independent voters may be split because Democrats intentionally registered people as unaffiliated, obscuring the data. The theory that this gentleman is proposing is that Democrats, they have better data allocation. They can see which nonpartisan people are going to break for Democrats. Republicans don't know. This would affect Republicans' ability to get out the vote in key areas, and they wouldn't know where they were going to lose based on the raw data. If Republicans assume that independent voters track with the polling and not with Democrats having skewed it in that direction, Republicans will not anticipate a big Democrat push. They may not put people in the right areas. Thanks for checking out this clip from TIMCAST IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.